Hey mama, if you're listening to this, you might be carrying a secret that feels too heavy to speak out loud. You look like you got it all together, you serve at church, maybe you even lead a Bible study. You smile when you drop off the kids, but no one sees the other side of you, the one that comes out behind closed doors. At home, you are a completely different person. You yell, you explode, you scream at your kids, sometimes in their face. You tell them to shut up. You grab them too harshly. You throw things across the room. You smack them in anger, twist their ears, spank them in rage, and immediately after, you are hit with a tidal wave of shame. You cry alone in your room and you whisper, "God, what is wrong with me?" You feel scared and disgusted by your own reactions. You're terrified that someone might find out. You wonder if your kids would be better off without you. You feel unworthy, broken, and too far gone to be redeemed. You try to fix this on your own. You listen to podcasts, parenting books, download freebies, but nothing changes. You keep falling back into the same patterns, and it feels like you are stuck in a cycle that you can't break. You don't trust yourself anymore, and if you're honest, you are afraid of who you've become. But here's the truth, Mama. You are not beyond hope. You're not alone, and with God's help and the right support, you can change. I'm Elizabeth, a mom of 4 and an anger management coach for Christian moms. And inside my Calm Christian Mom coaching program, I guide women just like you through a powerful transformation. This isn't shallow behavior management. We go deep. We address your triggers, your stress, your mindset, your nervous system, and the spiritual root behind your patterns. We invite God into every layer and walk hand in hand towards healing. In just 12 weeks, you can become a completely different mom, unrecognizable. One who leads with patience, not panic. One whose children feel emotionally safe around her. One who cultivates peace. This summer, I'm offering a Calm Mama strategy session, a powerful 15-minute one-on-one coaching session designed to help you uncover the root of your anger and receive spiritual, emotional, and practical support. It's your chance to experience what coaching is like with me before diving deeper into ongoing support. If we both feel like the full program is the next right step, we can talk about what that looks like for you. You don't have to keep living like this. Your family is worth healing, and so are you. Use the link in the show notes to book the Calm Mama strategy session. Welcome to behind the scenes of my spring edition. I try to do these episodes every few months just so you get to know me a little bit better behind the scenes, what's going on, just a little bit of life update, and here you go. So first I'm going to share with you early March, my third boy broke his wrist rollerblading. And he was just rollerblading in our street, and a car behind him startled him. And he went on the grass, he fell down, and he broke his wrist. Both bones in his wrist, like completely broken and just like out of the way. And surprisingly, he did not need surgery. It really looked like he would need it, but he did not. They were able to align the bones and put a cast on, and his body healed. So he just took off the cast and then the brace he wore for another 6 weeks. So he took off his brace last week, and it's so amazing how his body was able to just like bring the bones together. Yes, they aligned them, but they were still a little bit off. And even with that, the bones just aligned and started to form. And it's just crazy how well the kids' bones can totally get, recover. And just kids are so resilient. Seriously, I think he was just miserable and in pain for a few days. And then after that, you constantly need to tell him like, hey, walk, slow down, because he is so busy. He just turned 8 this week, and he is so busy getting into everything. And my goodness, he's such a funny little dude. I just love him. He definitely is the life of the party in our home. And because of that, I'm not going to name names, but one of the parents it has a lot of anxiety about the kids playing outside and being active after the injury. And so the kids' activity has been a little bit limited the last few months, but I'm excited that the summer is coming and I can have them spend more time outside. I always do a no screen week or very limited screen time the first month of summer break. And so that I told my kids the only screen time you will get is when I am on coaching calls. The rest of the time, it's going to be no screens, through the whole month of June. And you're going to be playing outside, getting creative. And my boys have been really, really, really into fishing. Really into fishing. So especially my older two. My oldest is completely obsessed with it. He's 13. And I'm glad they found a hobby that they enjoy and that they like. So yes, the boys are into that. What else happened? In March, I hired a business coach. I have not had a business coach in a while, and somebody that I can closely work alongside, and that she's able to look over my content. She's able to look over my website, over my process and give me feedback. And so that's been super helpful. I really enjoy having that support system, though, telling you what, making that investment felt scary. Looking at that payment, paying thousands of dollars for 6 months of coaching support. There is a part of me that there was not scared. I don't even know, not anxious, but just it does feel a little scary just to pay that much money to somebody up front, wondering, is it going to work? Is it not going to work? Is this going to be really helpful? Is it not? But what I've told my husband is I've noticed that when I ever make an investment in myself, especially when it's thousands of dollars, it forces me to show up. It just does. It forces me to show up and do the work. I'm not the type of person that is going to invest thousands of dollars and then just disregard it and fall off the wagon. If I do this sort of investment, I show up, I am motivated, I'm so much more consistent, I have accountability, I have support, I have somebody who's checking in with me. And so this is kind of what I do with my clients. I have that support and accountability for my clients because I think it's so important and it is so valuable in order to experience a transformation. Yes, you can make progress yourself. And I have in my business. I've been doing this for 4.5 years. And what I can tell you is that the progress is way slower when you do it yourself versus when you're working with a coach who has support and accountability, somebody you have access to Monday through Friday. It's very different. Yes, you can still make progress, but you're making a ton of mistakes along the way. And there's a lot of trial and error. Does this work for me? This doesn't work for me. I'll try this. I'll try this. But when you're working with a coach and you have a step-by-step process, a proven process that somebody has, it just streamlines the results so much faster. You just get where you want to go so much faster. And honestly, this is what I offer in my Calm Christian Mom coaching program for you. If you want to get to your goal faster, to be calm, peaceful, calm, patient, lighthearted, mama who's adaptive to the circumstances that she's given, who has a good attitude, there's just a faster way to get there. And my results are guaranteed. In my coaching program, you either get results or you get a full refund. And I can guarantee you that you're going to see positive results in your life if you show up and you do the work. Anyways, I just want to let you know that I also make investments in myself. And does it feel scary? Yes, it does. But as soon as you do, there's just this excitement that comes right with it. And you're like, man, I have this step-by-step process. I have the support that I need to get where I want to go. And it just feels so much lighter versus trying to do this on your own. So if this is you and you're like, oh, I don't know if it's going to work for me, investing in Elizabeth's coaching program, I just want to let you know, you have nothing to lose. Literally, you either get results or if you don't, you get your money back. Absolutely nothing to lose. So if you want to learn more, in the show notes, you can click Calm Christian Mom Coaching Program, and it's going to give you the details about the program. Okay, my birthday was in April. I turned 36 years old, and for my birthday, my mom came down to Minnesota. Sorry, my parents live in Minnesota. We live in Florida. We moved here almost 3 years ago, and I grew up in Minnesota, and my mom came down as a surprise. I was at the mall with my daughter, and my husband was supposed to meet us up to grab a bite to eat on my birthday. And as I'm waiting for him in the parking lot, he pulls over and my mom comes out of the car. Oh my gosh, I was so excited. I love my mom so much, and we have such a great relationship. And we always have, but even like as an adult, it's just once you have your own kids, I don't know, like you feel more connected towards your mom. At least I do. And so I was just so happy that she was here and I got to spend the time with her. And my mom is that type of person, when she comes to my house, she makes everything lighter. She just makes everything easier. She's not the one that sits there and critiques and like complains and like looks for the wrong. She's the one that like is so supportive and so helpful. She was able to help me make meals and wash dishes and help clean up and spend time with the kids. And my husband and I went on a date, and my mom and I went and got our nails done, a manicure and a pedicure. And then we went to the ocean together as a family. So she was here down for a few days, and it was just, I just loved and enjoyed spending time with my mom. It was just the highlight of my birthday. And I am so grateful that God has given me a mom that has been such a positive example in my life. And it's funny, even though I had such a great example, I still struggled with anger. It was still something that I struggled with, even though my mom had such a great example. Though I did learn a lot of things from her, and seeing what a great godly example she was part of the reason that was motivating me to work on myself. Because my mom is the type of person that she is also likes to read books and listen to sermons and implement things in her life to better herself. And so that was something that I learned from her, and that it motivated me to be a better mom for my kids. Okay, what else? My husband and I had our anniversary in May, and for the day we had somebody watch our kids. My husband's boss, he took all our kids for the day, and they did a bunch of fishing and all the things. And my kids absolutely loved it. And during that day, my husband and I drove down to St. Augustine, from Jacksonville to St. Augustine, Florida. We rented a slingshot for the day, and we drove around and went to the beach and then grabbed some food at a restaurant. Literally just like drove around. It was too hot because the slingshot did not have like a cover. It was just, pure sun. And so we did get a little burned. It was really hot, but otherwise it was just fun to hang out together and just have a good time. And we really, really enjoyed that time. Kind of wish we spent more time at the beach, but it was still great. And we absolutely loved it. And then, the other thing. So our church, the teenagers are doing a fundraiser for youth camp for the summertime. And so they have this thing going on, Rent a Teen, where you can rent some teenagers to come and, do some housework for you or babysit or be like a mommy's helper. And I got two sisters. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to support these girls. They're trying to raise money to go to youth camp, and I want to support them. And so I hired two sisters, and they're homeschool kids. And so, their days are a little bit more flexible. And so I needed help during the day when my daughter's at home with me so I can get some work done. And so one of them was, oh my gosh, she like washed the walls. She scrubbed the grout in the bathroom and in the laundry room, on the tile floors that get super dirty. She, cleaned the windows, the blinds. What else did she do for me? I just vacuumed the house, just like the things that you don't get to, like the, deep cleaning that you oftentimes don't get to, like cleaned, wiped all the cupboards and organized the pantry. And it was just so nice. It was so nice. And the other one played with my youngest daughter, who is almost 4, who is honestly, it's so funny right now. It's her pastime. What she really likes is collecting little tiny baby frogs. We have a ton of baby frogs on our property. We have like a pond in the back. So there's a ton of baby frogs. And so she just loves to collect them in jars. One morning, her and I got 30 of those things in a jar. It was ridiculous. It's crazy. And anyways, so with the other sister, she would be walking around the property and collecting frogs. And they jumped on a trampoline and did coloring and just playing in her room. So it was just so nice to have that help. And I had them come for a few weeks and just to help me out like that. And I also supported them along that journey. And I'm like, it is so nice to have a mommy's helper like for real. And so if you're in a place where you have young kids, like, young toddlers and kids, and there is a teenager at your church that could earn some extra cash this summer and who, like, you would trust to be with your kids while you're at home. Like, you don't leave the house, you're at home. And seriously, one of the best things, like, so stinking helpful. And if you have a little bit of wiggle room in your finances to do that, for real, hire a mommy's helper. Game changing. Absolutely game changing. Okay. And then I also wanted to share with you, I had like a really hard evening with my kids. And I'll tell you what was going on. And then I was feeling so on edge. I was feeling so overwhelmed, overstimulated, so frustrated. And I was like a 9 out of 10. 10 is where you lose your cool, you start yelling at the kids. And I was still able to remain calm, but man, it took so much effort. Everything inside of me was like working against me. And my thought was like, this is how the mamas that I work with feel when they come to work with me. That is their norm. That is their baseline. So in like 9 out of 10, my baseline is like a 1 out of 10, maybe 2 out of 10. That's my normal like baseline throughout the day, how I feel and the capacity that I have. Like, I have so much wiggle room when things don't go my way, when my kids have a meltdown, just where I'm at mentally and emotionally. But that day, it was hard. It was early May. It was right before my free training that I was hosting, How to Stop Yelling and Have More Patience with Your Kids. And honestly, I feel like sometimes the enemy's trying to attack me during the times where I'm doing something like that, just to get me to mess up and be like, look, you're trying to teach this. Look at you. You're messing up. And so I feel like it often happens every time I do like a boot camp or something like that. It oftentimes aligns where, like, I don't know if it's a spiritual attack, but it could be. Or maybe it's just a hard day or whatever. But oftentimes it just aligns right before I am intentionally trying to serve the audience and do something extra. Like, I was hosting a free live training. And also it was like right my PMS week, right before my cycle starts, which is always the days I feel a bit more, just in general, less tolerance, more a little bit on edge, wanting some extra alone time. I also wanted to go on a trip that, like, in my mind, I was envisioning I was able to go, but I, probably won't be able to go on that trip. My kids were fighting. My Hebs had a long day at work, so he wasn't home. My 10-year-old was doing homework last minute, and it's that type of homework that he needed to use the internet and pull up some images and print something, so he needed help with. The kids had like no screens because I knew that in the evening, it was like a Thursday night, I would be later working and having a coaching call. And I knew that my kids would be watching then, because when they're with my husband, the go-to is for them to watch some screens. And so I was trying to limit screen time with the other kiddos. My youngest daughter spilled milk, like all over the table, all over the floor. The two younger ones, my son who turned 8 and my daughter who's almost 4, kept getting into fights and arguments. And then my son, who was, 8, he was like resisting me. He was yelling. He was just very dysregulated, very upset when, and he starts using words like, shut up to his siblings or throwing things. And I needed to deal with that. Plus, I was trying to help my son with homework and, do dinner. It was just so much all at once. I was feeling so overstimulated. I was the only one, right? On top of that, the kids were just making a ton of annoying noises. My son, who is in 4th grade, he just, in order to keep himself occupied, he just feels bored and he will like make sounds and noises that are so annoying just to keep himself stimulated. And so then that's like on top of that is creating a stimulation. I was literally like, God, please help me. This feels like too much. This feels so overwhelming. And then my thought was like, this is how the moms that I work with, this is how they feel all the time. And this is their norm. Like, this is their baseline, like being a 9 out of 10. This is how chaotic most of their days feel. Like, I will have a day here and there like that, but this is how they feel all the time. And then just also like being so thankful to God that this is not my norm. This used to be my norm. This is how I used to feel before I started this work and intentionally working on myself and before God led me through this process. And so I was just so grateful that I was able to still remain calm and respond, even though it felt so much. Like it took so much out of me. It felt so hard to do that, but I was still able to do that. And then as soon as my husband walked through the door, it's like, I think he walked through the door like 5 minutes before I had to hop on the call to be with my clients. And I just want to let you know, I still have moments that feel really hard and overwhelming. And with God's help and with the tools that I have learned to implement over time, I was able to still handle myself in a way that at the end of the night, I am proud of the way that I showed up for my kids. Maybe I had some frustration in my tone. Maybe I raised my voice slightly here and there to get my kids' attention, but I was not screaming at my kids. I was not in their faces. I wasn't yanking them. I wasn't shoving them on the bed. I wasn't twisting their ear. I wasn't, spanking them out of rage. Like none of that doesn't happen. Thankfully, like that's in the past. And I did the work that needed to get done to get here. Yes, there's a spiritual aspect of praying and connecting with the Lord, and you need the tools as well. Like there's both. You can't just do one. Because if you find yourself that you're constantly praying, you're reading the Bible, you're spending time with the Lord, and you're still in a negative attitude, you're still reactive, you're still yelling at your kids, you're constantly frustrated, you are reacting in poor ways, and you hate yourself at the end of the night, the kind of mom that you show up. Like you feel that your kids are going to grow up to hate you, that you're not going to have a good relationship with them. You're filled with a lot of negative talk about the circumstances, about your kids, about yourself. My friend, there is hope for you. Like literally, you don't have to stay stuck there. If you tried stuff that is free and on your own and it has not worked, there's a better way. I have a step-by-step process to get you to the results that you want, to be that loving, patient, kind, lighthearted mama, to be able to respond instead of react in hard circumstances, and to be adaptive instead of fighting the reality of what the facts are. My friend, I can help you if you want to get there faster. Instead of trial and error, join my Calm Christian Mom Coaching Program. You can start with booking a Calm Mama Strategy session. It's a 50-minute session where you share with me one of the biggest things that you're struggling with, and I coach you through and I give you practical things that you can work on starting today to address that. And then if you feel that you want further support, I can share with you about my coaching program, and you get to decide if you want to do that. That's on you. All right, my friend, the details about that are in the show notes. I am so glad that you're here and that you got to hear a little bit behind the scenes of my life. Until next time. Hey mama, do you find yourself snapping over the smallest things, like spilled milk or constant whining, then feeling horrible afterwards? If you're tired of losing your temper and you want to show up with more patience, I have something for you. It's a free training called How to Be More Patient with Your Kids so you're not screaming over spilled milk. Inside, I'll walk you through 10 simple things you can start doing today to become a calmer, more Christ-like mom, even on the hard days. To get it for free, just leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts and send a screenshot to hello@emotionallyhealthylegacy.com. Or if you'd rather skip the wait, you can grab it right now for just $27. The link is in the show notes. Let's help you become the peaceful, patient mom your kids need.